Hey, how's it going? So, I just wanted to talk about something, and I have a couple of cards, but I had a visit today from a friend that is also a subscriber, and she let me know that all of those times when I've been going, hey, read my signs, she says you can't see what's on them, so I'm just going to tell you. I know that the white one, it's impossible to see much of what's on there. It's packed with words, and then some of the ink is really light. I can't see it that well, and I'm right next to it. The board needs to be replaced. The markers suck. So, I apologize for that. I didn't know that I was just wasting your time and mine. So, these up here, though, opinion commentary. It's not the end of the world. For your entertainment, take it or leave it. That's what that one says. This one is more for when I was doing regular reviews of movies and shows. I haven't really been doing that because nobody was watching, and I was like, okay. So, but this one just says, always with the spoilers, just expect it. No bad reviews, only shows I like. So, it's, basically it's my disclaimer. Anyway, so, I want to pick up a little bit where I left off from the last video where I was talking about, briefly, a phrase that had, started coming to mind, and I was unsure about it because I knew I didn't understand all of whatever it was supposed to be telling me, but I have since gotten the message or whatever, gotten the rest of the message, whatever. Now I understand it, and I can't breathe. The phrase was, "Be the youest you can be." And I feel like, as I said in the last video, that pertains to your own authenticity, specifically to yours, but also, and by yours I mean like you say like real things, true things, and you don't say untrue things that are not real, and you just show up when you need it, and even when you're not, just like showing up in life, being a stand-up person is what I mean by like my own integrity, and not taking like, well, I already said untrue things, but just like not just sitting there and taking it and just being like, or going along with it. I am timid about speaking out more than I have been about things, but I plan to remedy that in this video. So, one of the things that's on this board has been on my mind relating to that phrase. And it is on here, and it says, cultivate resources that can't be taken from you. So, basically, to me, that is yourself, your unique, unduplicable, nobody can, make another copy of you, like you're the genuine article. And so that's what you have, that it's like in your thoughts, like it can't be taken from you, stolen from you. And so here's the thing that I'm just going to directly speak to, that I've alluded to it, but I haven't just said this is the thing, because I would like to still have my channel. So I'm going to be careful, but a lot of times I'll be talking about things that we're unaware of, that are right next to us, and you could actually take that as like that thing where there's other dimensions that are right next to us, and we, for whatever reason, without some kind of equipment, usually can't be any more than intellectually aware of their presence. But at the same time, they might be like a hair's breadth away, but in another dimension, and fully able to like recognize you and what's happening in yours in relation to theirs, and still understand theirs, while we're like, yeah, I think there's parallel dimensions. And I mean lay people, scientists, I know that it's a thing. I also, like, I believe them. I don't know. I have had experiences personally, and then I just like have read a lot of sci-fi and watched a lot of sci-fi, and it just feels so right. So and now science is starting to catch up to it. So, you know, I guess I just kind of recognized that that was a real thing. So anyway, I have talked about how people they act like they're possessed by demons or something. I haven't specifically said that that's what it is, but I think that's what it is. There's levels of it, like possession. So the opening level is like oppression, and that can manifest as just a change in mood, or it could be because someone is dependent on some type of substance, and so it's mood altering, and then it doesn't look as noticeable as unusual when someone's like a drunk or an addict, and they start acting like kind of weird and like out of their head and hearing voices, because the first thing they're going to go to is probably not they're possessed. They might say they're acting like they're possessed, but I don't think they're taking their own words seriously. And I'm saying you can probably start taking that seriously, because there are things that were predicted by a lot of different sort of mystics and psychics over like centuries, about this time and times that have passed. Like Nostradamus would be the most famous, but he's not the only one. He wasn't the only one that was sort of a prognosticator, I guess they would have called it then. But yeah, like a psychic, a medium, some sort of future seer. And they talk about these times. So, but then there's also like things in the Bible which is so hard to, like, it's just the strangest book, because it was like compiled and put into print a long time after the events that it talks about. So like, I don't think really anybody was there from the time of the events to participate in the writing of the thing. I know it was written over a period of time with many different people having input, like countries and the church, the Vatican, whatever, and you know, I'm sure like the super wealthy people of the time, which way back would have been like Rothschild people, and they weren't alone either. There are a lot of families that are wealthy for generations and generations, and some of them even allegedly rumored to not have started off as human, which there's a whole background to that. And if you're not like, if you don't know, it's sci-fi basically. It's gonna be sci-fi, but like hybrids of humans and off-world, extra-dimensional. Who knows exactly? Not me yet, but there's a lot of stuff pointing to those, what I just said, like being true. So a lot of stuff, like in the Revelations, I think, we're going to have those. And we've had some, weather events, like the whole E-people and E-file thing that's not even all come out yet, and then the adjacent, like, other branches of the same network, which are all people or like prominent politicians that we know their names are, if not implicated, somehow they come up, and it all has to be unraveled, and there's a lot of forces at work to make it as opaque as possible and hard to get a hold of. Like, I mean, Todd Blanche, he's the tip of the spear out there trying to not obey the law. He's a lawyer. It's a funny, weird world we're living in right now. So, the way evil works that I remember learning, like, from the Jesuits is it'll be around you and it'll just be your friend. Like, you won't even really notice that it's not your friend. It's just mimicking your friend, or it's jumped into your friend and possessed them. So that would make them effectively no longer your friend. Why am I laughing? It is not funny. So, I just was watching a video before this, and it was people in America noticing, like, something's not right, basically, was the title, and people were alluding to what I'm saying, and kind of like, I can't believe I'm saying this, but that's what it looks like, because there is legend to go along with this. There, is a story that has been told over and over, not just in Christianity either. It would be in, like, all of the holies, because the events are not going to just, like, hit in one isolated spot. It's going to affect all of the people, whichever umbrella of religion they fall under, or not. Like, wherever the people are, I believe that's going to be the effect, or I don't know if that's the right word. Are you busting in? Anyway, so these groups, like the E-Island group, they've made references that are like, again, what I learned about the evil is people are tempted with something they want, and if they're particularly needy, just like another country turns, like an American to their side, and they've become a double agent against their country. You're you, but then you have, like, this whole, like, underlying story going on where you're granted, like, your wish of fame or riches or whatever it is, and then you get to have that for a while, but you also, I'm getting outside of what I was saying, but let me reverse that. You will be tempted with what you want, basically, but it's not necessarily like, it's not what you think it is. You're not getting what you think you're not getting what you wanted. It just sort of looks like that to draw you in. And when my friend was here earlier, I was like, yeah, it's like the mob, where they come in and they go, you need protection, so you got to pay this money, and the person's like, I'm doing great, I don't need protection, and then the mob kicks your butt, and they're all, so do you need protection? I feel like it's like that. It's that kind of transaction. It's not ever your friend. It's not, like, gonna be good for you. It's all just a trick to lure you in and like relieve you of your money and your all of your resources, you know, whatever they consist of. And it's hard to get out of it, I guess. Like, you're hearing a lot about that from experiencers now. Like, that's how things are coming out. It's like it's broken down, and enough people have gotten hurt and horrified and hounded and all this other crazy stuff, like stalker stuff, but hit people. And the the networks have to sort of, in the public eye, be seen in a larger picture sort of way, where you understand that it's a big web that goes over the whole planet, basically, and there's isolated spots where, like, hot spots, bigger spots, where, like, cities as opposed to towns or whatever. And it's everywhere. There's like a headquarters in every place you can go, or there's a branch of some kind of perv, because you gotta constantly, I guess, keep tithing in a way. But the currency is not money. The currency is fear, intimidation, harm plus and worse, allegedly. And but you know, it's allegedly now in things are alleged now in shows that you can find on YouTube, like hundreds of them, more maybe. I'm not sure. I'm not trying to look at everything. I just picked a few that seem to tell me things that I want to know on subjects, and this happens to be one of the subjects. And to be quiet right now about like what's happening, I'm talking about it generally, but there are specific things like that are in focus right now, like the movie that Mel Gibson and Jim Caviezel made and are in, and Sound of Freedom, I think it's called. And there's like a big fight to not let that become public, because it's I guess it's based on true stories, true accounts, but it's dangerous to talk about these things. Like, the people committing the acts don't want it to be publicized. They don't want people to know what they're actually doing, because it is horrendous. It is completely horrifying, and it goes against like nature, and like you're just doing terrible, these sacrifices. I mean, it's a sacrifice. It's done with ill intent. Like, they want it to be scary. They want you to feel fear and feel like you're going to be ended, because very likely you will. And you don't think it's going on because everything just seems so normal. How could that be? For months I've been saying the layer of disbelief is very difficult to penetrate, but we better see. I don't like to do that, but if you care what world you live in, what difference it's going to make, then you need to be aware of what, like, the adversary that you have and maybe have not acknowledged is up to. So before I started doing this, I was watching a video, and oh god, don't slip my mind now. That was something I totally wanted to talk about. Dang it, now I'm gonna forget. Oh, well, like, now's not the time to be meek, is what I'm saying. You don't want to be reckless and foolish. And there are enough voices piping up now, more and more all the time, on these kind of, I don't know, am I gonna get in trouble for using the word abuses? On, like, human forms, and, I think that this network and these people that have like a menu of choices to make, selections to make from people that are captive, basically, for that purpose, and of all ages and genders, allegedly. So, like I said, it's horrible. It's not stuff that people want known that they've participated in, and that's what makes it dangerous. If you really go down that rabbit hole, there are... another phrase has come to mind regarding these people. You can kind of tell who they are by the trail of unalived around them. There are a lot of people that are prominent that have like kind of bizarre passings, like adjacent or directly in their lives, and they're unusual. The way the people are going, they're too young for the things that have happened to them, or there's like a rash of the same kind of unusual illness that hits people that maybe don't say the right thing or somehow are enemies. And, you know, there doesn't even have to be like a beef necessarily. Like, sometimes a person can just be mad at you and you're not doing what they want you to do, or you have something they want, and they'll just screw with you in ways that maybe you won't be able to figure out. Like, why is this part of my life going downhill, or why is this getting ruined? Because of the profession you're in, perhaps. You have that bargain, that protection deal that you got to answer to, and if you want to deviate from that, or if you don't want to be in it in the first place, and so you don't join it, you could be in kind of the same predicament, allegedly, is what I've gathered from the reporting. And so you always kind of have to be fearful, or not fearful, but respectful and aware of something that a group of prominent people in particular are trying to conceal. Like, the effort of concealment that is taking place right now in the highest levels of our government is pretty amazing, like pretty strenuous, and it doesn't help to make, if they're trying to look innocent, they need to try a new tactic. So, I know I'm ranging about. Okay, so I got mainly like a little bit of what I have been wanting to talk about off my chest. I do have 3 cards from the Shaman's Dream Oracle deck. Oh, 4. Thought I'd switch it up for this one. So, first card is the number 37. That adds up to 10 if you put the 3 and the 7 together, and it is Magician's Sword. And the subtitle is Connected in... Hold on. Connection to your magic. Look, it's all like the same color at the bottom there. So anyway, here is what the Magician's Sword looks like. And these actually have a booklet that I'm going to consult since I haven't used them in a long time. Let me grab that. Dang it, I have some sort of flying insect in here. So, in the same way that a lot of Americans would like to have a whole new government as soon as possible, God, I start off and then I lose it. The same way that people want a whole new government, uh, people are starting to see that, like, they've just been lied to about everything. And when and this is just what I'm talking about, is just one layer of stuff. There's a whole other things, so many. Ugh, I don't want to go there. Stay where you are. Stay in your lane. So, it's good that people are catching on that everything is not kosher, and that, like, yeah, so much is not true. Like, it's just amazing, but it again is like the Truman Show, because in that world that Truman lived in, nothing was true, nothing was real. Everybody was telling him falsehoods. Close. I don't know. I might have to just get some picture-only cards with this vision of mine that doesn't want to function well. Almost there. I guess I need to get this bound. It was like one of those printable booklets I got with these cards, and I was like, what? Dang, come on. Okay, here we go. Magician's sword. These things are such an iffy proposition. I have to be so careful not to knock them all flying and out of order. Okay. Let me get my magnifying glass. And a little bit more light. Okay. When the... Jeez. This is so bad. Here we go. When the magician's sword appears, we are called to... I can't do this. I can't. I really can't see. My vision is swimming so bad. I can see the word and then it just goes unseeable. Blurry. It's, oh man, this is so frustrating. Okay, come on. No. Come on. Last time, don't knock over the phone. Alright, well, just gonna have to wing it. Okay, so connected to your magic. Well, that's where your being your youest comes in, because I believe that when you are possessed or susceptible to it, it is because you are not in, like, complete confidence and control of yourself. And, oops. And so you are vulnerable to energies that are like those people that you meet that are strangers, and they immediately, within like one word, or look at you for 5 seconds, and they immediately know how to push your buttons. So I feel like there are these opportunist entities, and, you know, maybe in your mind you're like completely freaked out about possession, demonic possession. And so, because, like I was saying, how the other dimensions could see us, but we're, like, for the most part, unable to perceive them. Same with these entities, I believe. So what they're able to do is just easily read us, like literally read our minds, though. I don't know if those sort of pest people I was referring to, they press your buttons, have that depth of ability, but these beings can just kind of like smell you or something and get like all of the information, or also like literally are telepathic, I believe, is what's said about them, or alleged. I guess this isn't legal, so I'm not really going there, but I believe they have that ability because the experience that I had, I didn't have to open up my mouth to talk to it. I know it was hearing me because it responded in a number of ways, like telepathically, physically. Yeah, so I know that they can interact if they want to, and they can also just jump you, and you wouldn't even really realize until you're all of a sudden unable to control what you're doing. So, if you don't have fear and all kinds of scary stories in your mind, like as like a pick me and do this, imagining that's like a nightmare. It's like it's like you leave an opening. And so when you are confident of yourself and in yourself, and you don't have like these fearful, like, oh, what if this happens, or I better be constantly on guard for this other thing that might happen. It's a thing, I believe, of just being in the moment and also just being confident and just knowing something's going to come regardless of what you do or what you think. So there's no point in even worrying about it. What you can do is just know that, like, whatever comes, you're going to be able to deal with it and not be all, oh my God, but what if it comes? But that's where they sneak in and be able to get like that first stage of possession, like the oppression, where it could just look like you have something's going on with you, but that's like a beginning, and there's an internal battle that goes on with that becomes all consuming. And when you become all consumed, all possessed by that, and you can't function, like, that's what they're going for, those entities, and you can close all of the openings, and here is what the message is that I should be giving you, is you have spirit inside of you, you have angels, or you have the angelic realm on your side. Like, this right now is another all hands thing, like all hands on, we gotta like remove the current government from office. All hands also need to be participating in this, I guess, spiritual battle, because it may not look like a movie or something, but there is one that might look like. There was a movie with Denzel Washington and John Goodman. I can't remember the name of it, but a demon got out and was like hopping from person to person, and they would just be normal going along, and then all of a sudden they're doing something weird and talking to him in the demon's voice, and it'll be a woman and it's a male thing, and you're just like, ah. But that's an opportunity. Like, they're just hopping around, like, this person's worried they don't have money for this, or this person's worried their spouse is gonna kick their butt when they get home. Like, fear and worry, that's how they get us. And so our defense, our weapon, call it magic if you want, call it discipline, call it, you have to call in your own strength for this. Like, you have help, you can ask for help, but you still gotta like navigate your own self through whatever you're gonna encounter. Okay, so the next card is it's number 57, so that would add up to a 12. And it is Emerald Trail, and the subtitle is Revelation. So it looks like you have... I'm gonna have to unplug this thing. The power was so low. Okay. Where was I? Oh, yes. So, yeah, the subtitle is Revelation. Which is funny because, I think, in a Catholic kind of way, because what I'm talking about is, in the Bible, like I was saying, like, we are going to learn of some things, and that's been happening. And it's not just what I'm talking about. There's, like I said, climate stuff, natural disaster or activity type stuff. And this is very much an as above, so below card. With all of this hectic activity going on, and there's a lot of violence and harsh words, and also the video that I keep trying to talk about. One guy in there was talking about, why are people so mean and rude, and I don't remember the violence being so bad like 10 years ago, and I'm like, 10 years ago? You mean before the current administration was elected the first time? They seem to be depressed, could be oppressed. I'm trying to step gingerly here. I don't want to lay it on as thick as I feel it actually is, what I'm just talking about there. So anyway, back to this. Oh right. Still talking about that video. So yeah, the one guy is like, what is wrong with people? Everyone's acting so strange. No one can answer you. And a couple of them were talking about young people, I guess, Gen Zs that have like service jobs, and they like are mute when you deal with them, and they don't appreciate it when you're like kind and polite. This woman said she made a whole transaction. She handed the girl something. The girl handed her back. She did the thing that you do when you're older and you know how manners work. You say thank you when someone does something for you, and back and forth, and it's business small talk. Like, maybe you don't want to chat, but you know what, you're at work, you kind of have to speak to the client, but they're just not doing it. These are the same kids, I guess, they can't read and stuff, so I'm not so concerned about them because they are young, they will grow up, we all do, and then if they then realize, like, oh, I guess I do need to learn how to read, and then they'll just do it. Like, I don't think they can't do it. I think they have chosen not to. Like, they have the bare minimum. They can get by with that. But like I said, I think they'll grow up and out of that. But one of the people in the video that was sort of upset about this was a Gen Z herself. And she was like training to be a nurse, so she has to talk to the patients. She has to talk to her coworkers. You can't just be mute in that job, and people are not reading your mind. Like, if they don't already know how to do it, they don't have time. It's the hospital. It's an emergency all the time. So, like I said, service jobs, they're like clerks in coffee shops or whatever. So one lady, she brings the thing, she's talking to this woman, this girl, and the girl is like robotically doing the thing. She doesn't want to make eye contact. And then when the woman says when she leaves, she says, "Have a nice day," and the girl like handed her bag and rolled her eyes at her. And I don't know where that's coming from. Like, I don't know how they got the job. How do you get a job when you're like that? But I guess people are just like, whatever, I'll just put a coin in their forehead. Because I guess I'm talking to a vending machine. That I don't think it has to do with any, like, particular evil in the world. I think that they're just mad at everybody for the world that got left to them. And I would just interject at this point to say that I feel the way that all of these new gens feel, like they lost their future, everyth's too expensive, too hard to raise a family, like it's hard if you don't make good money. That was me. That is me. But I'm not trying to pursue, getting rich and having big money. Thank God. That seems like more trouble than just being, like, maybe not, like, dirt scratching poor. Like, a little more would be better. a little more cash, a few more funds would be good. Okay, so that's interesting. So the subtitle on here is Revelation. So these kids, I don't know that I still want to talk about them, but as far as the Revelations and them go, they probably have some, because it's that thing where they think that they already know everything, and they think that older people, their life did not begin until they, the Gen Z, met them. Like, they really will meet someone like me who's in her 60s, and they're whatever age Gen Z is, and be all, like, surprised that you had, like, jobs and know, like, people that they know who that is, and it's like they think you just snapped into being when they met you. And it's like, that is not how aging works, or life, or anything. So, I think they might be slow learners and late bloomers and things. And that just might be the speed we need to be at to put the dang brakes on the world we're in now. We lose the plot a lot of times worrying about capitalism and everything that entails, that makes you stressed to death, because they are making it that way too. I still don't know exactly what they're mad at us about, so mad at us. I think it's because we are daring to rebel. There's not even really that much we can do, I don't think, unless we just stop doing the work. Like, everybody just stop making the wheels turn, making the money earn. Green is healing, associated with healing in the spiritual world, I guess. And I think what's happening right now is, I'm going to stick to the United States, but I know it extends further than that. We are in a period where we're really going to have to look hard at ourselves and really understand, like, where blame truly lies, because another bunch of videos that I've been watching is, for instance, stop blaming the black people for everything. And I'm in favor of that. But, there are also other people that have similar issues that stem from the same antagonist. The CNs. The CNs and the CMs. The Christian nationals and the Christian militias and the people with that kind of mindset. And maybe you can't tell them anything but to, like, change them or change their mind, but eventually people start to see that things are not going the way they planned, or that they were wrong about what they thought and were planning, and so you end up reflecting at some point. So, and then also when you realize that you're like, I don't want to use the R word because that's getting flung around a lot and it antagonizes people. But I'll just stick with the R word, and the people associated with the R word would be the ones that wear the the bed clothes to be oblique and clear. Okay, so the next card is, this is the number 11 card. Interesting. So this has what I believe is a shaman that's in this picture, sitting in a dark cave, and they are a dark-skinned individual, so they are a little difficult to make out, but there's their hand with something in it, and it leads up to their arm and shoulders, so there's you can see part of their face. They got some kind of light happening here, sort of blocking them out, and they're sitting next to this pool of water, and they seem to be doing some sort of ceremony or something. It's the card is Deep Quiet, and the subtitle is Meditation and Stillness. So I know that, well, Deep Quiet, I mean, the guy's in a cave, basically. So, other than like bugs and maybe a bear, if you didn't check, are going to be in there most likely. Like, caves are not known to be meccas of like, I don't know, the nightlife. They're dark and they're quiet, and you get back in there and you can't be heard from the outside, and you can't hear the outside. You're in the mountain, you're under the ground. But that puts you in the place of, well, you're already, it says, and the picture is here, the person is meditating, so they want to be able to collect their thoughts. They're by the pool, the water is conducive to getting yourself into like the alpha state. And he seems to be like burning something. There's smoke happening, like as if they're holding a ember in their hand, it looks like. But all of it doesn't necessarily look like they're putting a spell on somebody or something. I feel like in this is they're just contemplating, and they're doing all of the things that, like the aromatherapy and being by the water, and just sort of like maybe reading their own cards for their own self, and just contemplating whatever it is. But something maybe serious, because they had to go into a cave to be, I guess, undisturbed. But I guess that is the best kind of meditation when you have like a serious problem. You don't want to be disturbed by a bunch of like just ambient noise, or someone coming upon you and not realizing what you're doing and just being all loud and high, blah, 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 and just like destroying your vibe. And, that is something like we could all probably take a moment to do, because there are like strong energies right now. Like, it may not be oppression for everyone. It could just also be just regular old stress and like low grade anxiety, because you feel kind of helpless. Like things are happening that are out of your control, that are making your life out of your control. Like you're no longer able to comfortably steer your boat and live to your accustomed standard of living, and that's destabilizing, and the world is changing, and landmarks are closing, and places you've gone to, and for some reason, like a restaurant you've gone to since you were a kid because it was inexpensive and it made the family happy and you got to like have that family meal, and it was just a simple thing, and now it's a place you don't want to be seen. It costs too much. You feel like, the vendor is like mad at you or wants to hurt you because they're serving you garbage, and they have zombies at the drive-through, zombie bots. They don't talk. They just take your order and let you do all the talking and hand you the money and make, like robotically make the change and that, and don't speak to you. And they've withdrawn their human connection. And I hear a lot of talk about it being because of COVID, like because of that. How many months were we locked down? Like 3? The calm like messed people up. The solitude messed people up. The having to be alone with themselves and their thoughts, I guess, messed people up. So hold on. This thing is heavy, and one of my wrists is weak. I have to hold it with 2 hands. Oh, good. Total photo bomb. I just want to set it down so I don't whack it with my hand and knock it over. Okay, that's good. Okay, so yeah, I think in the times ahead, we're gonna be, we the little guys are gonna be pushed and squeezed, and at some point we're gonna realize that it's not we doing things. We are not doing the things to each other. That's coming down from above, so to speak, and I think we have to, like, some of us get our minds straight so we can, start doing the difficult thing of everybody kind of joining together and, like, dropping the grievances so that we can, like, help each other, because the stores and the rents and the gas, it's not trying to help us. If anything, it's trying to make us be fearful and blame each other and divided. But we're going to realize, I know, that it's not us, each other, doing it to each other. We'll finally get that. And then, once everyone is on the same page, we renew our contract. We amend our contract. And in this case, I don't mean the pre-birth contract. I mean the social contract. Because after this administration, a lot of change is going to have to happen. A lot of repair will. And the subtitle of this card is Sacred Contract. So, social contract, yes, but again, this is that big battle, and so I feel confident we're going to come through, because more and more of us are waking up to something ain't right. Something's really wrong. And then when you do, I find more and more when I just randomly talk to a stranger, they immediately lock on to this stuff and start talking about it. Like, people are not afraid to be called a weirdo anymore. They're starting to realize, like, well, this shit is weird, but it's also happening. And again, right in front of us, right in front of our faces, is like the government. It's riddled with compromised, and I'm sorry, but I think there's at least oppression with a great number of them. There's so much, like, animus just lashing out, and it's just, and I just look at it and go, man, you really need to, like, talk to somebody professional, like, seek help. So many, like, wounded people, and they're defensive. They're not, like, trying to heal. They're not trying to, like, understand. They're trying to still fight back and retaliate and use blame to cover. Like, they're not like in the closet. have taken the closet off of the building or just are just walking around in it. And it's that thing of like, no, I'm not doing that thing. But then they totally are. So, like, when you suppress things, you stress the container, and then like another side will burst out and stuff will start popping out. And I feel like that's gonna happen with a lot of people. They just are, unfortunately, they happen to be the ones in charge. It's a whole culture. It's not new what I'm talking about. I don't even know how conspiratorial it is, to be honest. Because like I said, there's these networks and it is fully a part of it. It's hard to know who, like, agreed to what, you know what I'm saying? But it seems kind of hard to gain any kind of prominence or success as we gauge success, like start having like 6 and 7 figures behind your name or on your bank account. I haven't had one in so long. I don't know how to talk about them anymore. Okay, okay, I guess I can talk about this a little more. So, what I didn't say about this is, you know, like, once we are starting over, we'll really be able to go wide and repair, like I said, a lot of things that have been damaged and just sort of abandoned and misused. And it's not, I don't think, going to happen in the next president's term or first 2 terms even. Like, I think it's going to be an ongoing process where it's not just repair, it's like beginning a whole new life. And so these contracts are going to be starting from scratch. It's actually kind of exciting, you know. It's kind of like you're on the frontier and everybody's like there with all their stuff that they have to pool together, and everybody's going to make a town and help each other build houses and barns. And I was talking about recently that we need to make ourselves a new economy based on each other and our needs and how we can help each other, that can exist in this my box in a box thing, but we can exist in the world that's out there that's all weird and violent and you know, having personality issues, like having the inability to effectively communicate with your fellow humans. And then there's degrees of that. Like, these kids are mute, but there's lots of other people that, like, God, I'm afraid to, like Elon Musk, for instance. Like, he tries to talk and he's just a mouthful of stutter a lot of the time, and it takes him forever to get out whatever the hell he's trying to say. But that's kind of like how people are. They're like, I guess it's the screens and the computers and the algorithms. I guess. I mean, I still can interact with other humans. So I just want to wrap up by saying, take heart in that comment I made about talking to random people and they're just all Saturn return, the shift, the flash, you know, the 3 days of darkness. Like, people are starting to catch on. And yes, this stuff came out of the Bible, but again, the stuff they're talking about had happened way before this thing was compiled and written or whatever, however they did it. And that's the thing to keep in mind. That's what I grew an interest in, but it seems to be like the right thing, in my opinion, to be paying attention to right about now. no more. Thank you, and good night.